The WNBA now finds itself navigating a landscape that is shifting faster than anyone inside the league office ever imagined. What should have been a triumphant announcement about long-awaited salary increases instead feels like a scramble to hold the league together at a moment when pressure is mounting from every direction. The players feel it. The owners feel it. The fans sense it. And deep down, the front office knows the truth better than anyone. This is no victory lap. It is a defensive maneuver, a reaction to forces that have grown too strong to ignore. The offer was presented with pride, but beneath the carefully chosen words sits an unmistakable urgency, the kind that only appears when a league realizes that its future could slip from its hands if it hesitates even a moment longer. As the news spread, conversations all across the basketball world shifted in tone. What once sounded like optimism now carried an undercurrent of concern. Analysts debated whether the raise reflected genuine progress or whether it exposed how fragile the WNBA's financial model truly was. If the league could suddenly afford million-dollar salaries after decades of slow movement, what did that say about the priorities that held them back for so long? And why now, when the timing aligned so perfectly with the rise of a rival league that instantly outbid them? Fans who had begged the league to support its athletes found themselves questioning why the solutions only materialized when another organization forced their hand. Behind closed doors, the tension grew thicker with every passing day. The players' union knew they had leverage unlike anything they had ever possessed, and their negotiators did not hide that reality. Player representatives walked into meetings with a calm confidence, fully aware that half their roster had emails and messages from Project B offering double the money the WNBA was promising. For the first time, the league was the one reacting, not dictating. The athletes who had been told to be patient for years suddenly held the stronger cards. They knew it, and they were done pretending otherwise. The more the talks expanded, the clearer it became that this situation could erupt into something far larger than a debate over salaries. Roster expansion, travel conditions, guaranteed benefits, and the persistent issue of competitive balance all collided at the same time. The owners who once comfortably controlled the structure of the CBA now found themselves hesitating, weighing every cost, every concession, every line item. They wanted to invest, but they feared the financial risks that came with rapid change. Yet doing nothing would be even riskier. The threat of losing stars to Project B loomed over every conversation, a constant reminder that hesitation could cost them the very talent needed to keep the league alive. Even before the CBA details emerged, the atmosphere inside WNBA headquarters had already begun to shift. Executives watched as ticket sales, digital engagement, and national visibility rose sharply, largely because of Caitlin Clark's arrival. The data made the dependency impossible to deny. Every chart, every graph traced upward only when her name was involved. This reality created an uncomfortable dilemma. The league needed to grow salaries to show commitment, but it also needed Clark healthy, active, and present to justify the investment. The moment she stepped off the court earlier in the season, the numbers reacted instantly. The engagement dip was subtle at first, then unmistakable. That temporary absence revealed how delicate the league's momentum truly was. And yet, the players behind the scenes noticed something else. The league's energy always seemed to surge when Clark thrived, but the benefits rarely spread evenly. While she became the face of the sport, many veterans worried that the league's newfound resources were being funneled in a way that elevated one star but did little to address the systemic gaps affecting everyone else. Charter flights remained rare. Practice facilities varied wildly from team to team. Support staff, medical resources, and training accommodations often failed to match the standard expected from a professional league. Salary increases alone could not erase years of frustration. Real progress required structural change, and players refused to settle for anything less. Meanwhile, the emergence of Project B hovered over every decision like a shadow. Their season schedule, perfectly aligned to avoid conflict with the WNBA calendar, added complexity the league had never prepared for. Players no longer needed to choose between overseas paychecks and rest. Now they had a domestic option offering millions without leaving the continent. In the past, the WNBA relied heavily on the assumption that players would return out of loyalty, visibility, and a connection to American fans. But Project B challenged that assumption. It made loyalty optional. It made rest possible. And most importantly, it made financial stability available without asking players to endure grueling year-round commitments. This shift did not merely alter contract negotiations. It reshaped the psychology of the league. For the first time, Players contemplated skipping a WNBA season not because they were exhausted or injured, but because they could afford to. For some, the idea of focusing on health and long-term longevity became appealing. For others, the freedom to negotiate from a position of power offered a sense of security they had never felt. Agents whispered the possibilities. Financial advisors ran projections. And players who once felt trapped by necessity now realized they had control over their careers in ways that were groundbreaking. Every development from that moment forward highlighted a truth the league could no longer avoid. Players hold the leverage. The market has shifted. Talent now chooses its employer, not the other way around. And if the WNBA cannot evolve fast enough, someone else will. The $1 million salary mark once seemed like an impossible dream. Now it feels like a milestone that arrived late, pushed forward only because another league forced the issue. While the proposal signals progress, it also signals fear. And that fear exposes exactly how vulnerable the WNBA is in this moment. The months ahead will determine the league's direction more than any decision in its history. Expansion hangs in limbo. Salaries are rising faster than revenue projections. Player expectations have changed. And Project B lurks just beyond the horizon, ready to reshape women's basketball entirely if the WNBA hesitates again. For fans watching all of this unfold, the emotions are mixed. Hope for the athletes, concern for the league, curiosity about the future, and a growing awareness that the next chapter of this story could redefine the sport forever. Which brings us to you. How do you feel about the WNBA's new salary proposal? Do you believe it represents true progress, or does it feel like a reaction to the pressure of Project B's growing influence? And if players begin choosing rest, recovery, or rival leagues, what does that mean for the future of women's basketball? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you want more deep dive breakdowns on league politics, player power, and the future of the sport, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next episode.